Hi, Tia. It's a
Hi, Peter.
pleasure to see you again. I um, think this is going to be a great episode, not just because we had only a little time to prepare and had some technical difficulties, so this makes it kind of a hot episode. Um, but yeah, tell me, you've been to Brussels last week, is that right?
I thought you were with me in Brussels last
Yeah, we
week.
didn't see each other much, so
Um,
yeah.
yeah, we were at the CPDP conference. It was great title, great conference, a lot of valuable insights, and a lot of really cool people. And I'm looking forward to going again next week, I have to say.
Next week, how so?
Well, next week is the IAPP AI Governance Conference that we are also kind of going to talk about.
Global. You
Global,
forgot to mention it is a global conference. Hmm.
very important detail that we are kind of also going to talk about today.
Right. And so, without further ado, let's start with the. Give me a second. This looks like our prepared presentation, right?
Yeah, this kind of looks like my rant, but maybe before beginning with my rant, I always like to say we are also on Spotify. It takes us a bit to upload the episodes, but subscribe. They will be there at some point. Also, on this spot, I would also like to mention that we also kind of have a newsletter where we link all the contents. So, in case you want to read up on anything that we mentioned, you can do that, and you can do that. By subscribing to our newsletter and getting all the relevant links there together with a brief description of what you can find in those links. And now, without further ado, I can finally start off with my rant because, as always, there is just so much to rant about. I swear I say that every time, but the people in this universe just seem to never disappoint. And to begin with, I decided to share with you two things. And the first one is the fact that I was yesterday years old when I found out that the OECD definition of an AI system and the EU AI Act one are actually not one and the same, and that the OECD one is in fact more reasonable. Why? Well, to answer this question, we will have to put our annoying lawyer hats on and play spot the difference for a second. So here are the definitions, right? Let's first start with the similarities. It's that much easier. Great. We have machine-based systems. We have for explicit or implicit objectives, and we have infer from input how to generate various outputs that can influence their environments. Um, this is supposed to all appear on the slide. However, I don't see it. So you're just going to have to pretend that all the things were highlighted that I wanted to have highlighted anyhow. But now to the important part, and that is the difference between these two definitions. And that is that the OECD definition says in the last sentence, different AI systems vary in their levels of autonomy and adaptiveness after deployment. So they have varying autonomy and adaptiveness, but they are always, to a certain extent, autonomous and adaptive. Now, if we switch to the AI Act definition, we have designed to operate with varying levels of autonomy. Okay, we can live with that. But we have that may exhibit adaptiveness after deployment. Now, if we read that grammatically, then we know that may exhibit adaptiveness means doesn't necessarily exhibit adaptiveness. Um, and here you have your catch-it-all word, because whereas with machine learning algorithms they may vary, but you will indeed always have certain adaptiveness due to the training data that you use and that the machines adapt themselves to. This definition does in fact also cover very simple decision trees, including if-else decision trees, because they do not exhibit adaptiveness, they do not have to be trained on data, but they still cover all the other spots of all the other points in the definition, and this is in fact ridiculous. And yes, the AI Act will leave those unproblematic trees alone most of the time, but the fact that they're in there is absurd. And try integrating them into a product safety regulation product, and congratulations, you just got yourself into a whole lot of compliance costs for absolutely zero good reason. So good luck with those automatic lights in cars, because they like AI and stuff other than high-risk AI.
Tia, you've got a mic issue. Either directly into the mic, or we will have to find another technical solution. Sorry to say.
Okay, is it better now?
Yeah, it is much better now. Yeah, there were some glitches.
Okay.
It was an undersea cable that was, whatever, damaged, but now it works fine.
Perfect. Then I can continue. So good luck with those automatic car lights, because they're still in cars and they might still now be AI systems, nothing less than high-risk AI systems, because very dangerous. Anyhow, that is one point that's been annoying me lately. And now for the second point, that is the fact that this hype we are all riding on is kind of turning into insanity. If it wasn't already insanity, I'm not sure. So I was Wednesday years old when I first found these bad boys. So these are smart shoes that allow you to walk at the speed of a run. So first question, why is that smart? And why do you need AI to do that? And also one other point, I can walk at the speed of running since I was 9, but back then we called it roller skating. But okay. Anyhow, second point, what comes after this exactly? Are we going to have AI toothpaste going around? And then I say stuff like that, and then I found stuff like this, and then, I kind of get scared and think maybe I should just shut up. Luckily, in my depression, I have the amazing new Google Gemini feature cheering me up. The feature is still only available, unfortunately for all of us unlucky bastards, in the US, as the amazing feature includes nutrition advice. So, for instance, how to glue cheese to your pizza to stop it from sliding, which yummy mushrooms to eat that will definitely be worth having your liver dissolved, and the appropriate amount of rocks you should be eating per day. But they also include health or pregnancy health advice. So now you can finally save all that health insurance money. And for all those history enthusiasts, there are also US presidency history elections. So for instance, I also recently learned that Barack Obama's middle name is Hussein and that he's Muslim, as well as the fact that Andrew Johnson has earned an astonishing 14 degrees in his life. Did anyone inform the Guinness Book people yet? No? Well, then you might also not want to, because I also found out that there's one guy in Michigan pushing up to 30 degrees. And even if that is a lie, apparently there is a couple of crazy, brilliant folks out there with about 15 to 17 degrees. Sorry to say Johnson is not on that list. However, we still might want to contact someone, being a priest probably, as Johnson died in 1875. So unless his ghost is among us getting that college education, we might be in trouble, because, Google's results can obviously be trusted. That's not the issue here. Side note, for all those with no sense of humor, you can shut it off. But honestly, I'm sorry for whatever happened, whoever hurt you. If I had access to this, I would just be having so much fun. Just please don't shut it off. Okay. Meanwhile, in the OpenAI universe, OpenAI dissolves and then forms a new security team 10 days later. That is always a good sign. Nothing problematic there. And one other point, super alignment team. Really? It sounds like something from the Marvel universe. I mean, super cool. Why would you dissolve that? Anyhow, they dissolved the super alignment team, and By the way, shortly about the super alignment team. They were announced in 2023 and have been working to achieve scientific and technical breakthroughs to steer and control AI systems much smarter than us. At the time, OpenAI claimed that it would commit 20% of its computing power to the initiative over 4 years. Well, 4 years, 1 year, who cares? Anyhow, the news of the super alignment team being dissolved came just days later after OpenAI co-founder Ilya Sutskever and Jan Leke announced their departures. Now, 10 days later, we have the new Safety and Security Committee, much more boring name if you ask me, but okay, led by directors Brett Taylor, Adam D'Angelo, Nicole Seligman, and drum rolls, Sam Altman. Surprise, surprise. This committee will be responsible for making recommendations to the full board on critical safety and security decisions for OpenAI projects and operations, and one project in particular, because OpenAI has recently begun training its next frontier model, and they anticipate the resulting systems to bring them to the next level of capabilities on their path to AGI. The first task of this committee will be to evaluate and further develop OpenAI's processes and safeguards. So we have Sam Altman kind of developing AGI and also simultaneously consulting himself on security issues. Nothing can go wrong there. We are staying tuned. But over to some more fun OpenAI news, because these guys are just a never-ending source of amusement. So we all heard about their new voice assistant thingy, right? Which they showcased on Twitter, because where else would you showcase it? And which got them into a whole lot of trouble with the Hollywood star Scarlett Johansson, because apparently our favorite tech boy actively pursued Scarlett, asking her for her voice. Talk about creepy, which she declined, and only to later be asked by her family and friends if she agreed in the end, as they were confused to hear her voice in the latest updates. Yeah, well, move fast, break things, don't take no as an answer, I guess. I also wonder where the other 4 voices come from, because people have apparently just been fighting for this privilege with over 400 submissions to be the new OpenAI voice. Anyways, to have a bit of fun with the creepy thing, please look at this short video about their new horny voice by The Daily Show and Desi Leidig. I almost died watching it, seriously. One final related note on OpenAI and their horny non-Scarlett Johansson voice features. They are also now publicly considering allowing users to create AI pornography. Well, I guess now it all makes perfect sense. Semi-related, sad news coming in from the Apple universe, because they are apparently missing a chatbot, and they decided to partner up with OpenAI to get one. Because they're disappointed with their own efforts, blah, blah. I'm disappointed with Apple's efforts as well. And apparently I'm not alone, because according to Bloomberg, some of Apple's top executives are allergic to the idea, that's a direct quote, allergic to the idea of Apple going in that direction. So at least I'm not alone in my misery. However, the company also admits that consumers will demand such a feature, and so they're teaming up with OpenAI and to add their technology to the new EOS 18, so the next version of the software. They are preparing a major announcement apparently at the Worldwide Developers Conference, and Sam Altman is vigorously preparing to ensure it has the capacity to support the influx of users later this year. Apple is apparently still determined to, develop their own thing at some point and integrate it deeply into companies' products as they did previously. For now, however, they believe that the combination of their homegrown AI features and the OpenAI deal will be enough to get the job done. Again, really, Apple? Really? And just to explain my disappointment, I'll use a picture because that works much better. So I'll use the face of Mira Murati when answering the question of which data they use to train Sora. So yeah, this is kind of all I have to say to that. That's it. Over and, out. Well, kidding. We still haven't tackled Elon, of course, and I can't leave you all hanging without doing that. So Elon has recently told investors that his AI startup of course, brilliantly and creatively named XAI, is planning to build a supercomputer to power the next version of its AI chatbot, Grok. Musk also said that he wants to get the proposed supercomputer running by the fall of 2025. Earlier this year, they claimed that Grok 2 model took about 20,000 NVIDIA H100 GPUs for the training, and now the new Grok 3 and beyond will require 100,000 H100 chips. So not only are we going to burn the world down, but we are going to burn it down because of chatbots. Chatbots. I swear, the amount of frustration that this causes in my life, my eye just starts twitching. And it gets better, or worse, depending, of course, on your general attitude towards life and the degree of resignation due to its nonsensicalness. Because not only are we going to burn everything down building chatbots, but it's going to be done by the guy that claims AGI will appear next year. And despite of his dystopic opinion and public statements on Twitter, he still continues building supercomputers to create this AGI. But hey, at least here again, I'm not alone in my misery, because apparently there is a public beef on Twitter between Musk and LeCun. Well, kind of one-sided beef, because I didn't see Musk responding to any of LeCun's tweets. But no worries, he has plenty of his minions and devoted fans fighting for him. Anyhow, over to a more positive story for a second, just to lighten up the atmosphere. And it is a breaking story indeed, as a CEO of a large international company did not make an idiotic public statement, but a rather reasonable one. Imagine that. Now, when is the last time you saw that happen? So Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos apparently doesn't think actors and directors are going to be replaced by AI programs, but there is a twist. Direct quote, "AI is not going to take your job. The person who uses AI well might take your job," says Ted. And you know what, guys? I kind of tend to agree with him. Just saying. And over to my favorite category, personal hell this month. This month, again, featuring two stories, because I just couldn't decide, so you get 1 + 1 for free without even asking for it. So first one, Eventbrite promoted illegal opioid sales to people searching for addiction recovery help. So despite being a very clear violation of Eventbrite's content policy, a Wired investigation found 7,400 instances of postings. Among these were listings of pages claiming to sell fentanyl powder without a prescriptions, accounts pushing for the sale of social security numbers, as well as pages offering a wild night with independent escorts in India. And not only that, but those events were then automatically recommended to people searching for instance, Ryan's Ride for Recovery, an event organized yearly to honor the heroin overdose of Ryan by his family. Apparently, the pages weren't even really hiding their criminal character and contained links to where these drugs, or in some cases even escorts or various personal details such as social security numbers, can be, well, obtained. They mostly included promoting through free events, but some even required payments done through Eventbrite. The whole thing escalated, of course, when, and probably only because, the illegal opioid postings were recommended to recovering addicts searching for supportive events to participate in. And, you know, that kind of just tells the story about this whole technology, doesn't it? And according to the investigation, a further 169 illicit events are being published daily. So we can't even handle content moderation, guys, and content curation. Yeah, but let's keep building chatbots. We are great at that.
Thank God for Section 230.
Yeah. And second point on the building chatbots and being great at it, and my second hell this month, ChatGPT. Yes, you Heard that right. So I had to quadruple check that this isn't some Google Gemini nonsense, but no, this actually seems to be true. Gemini could never be this creative, I guess. So Beijing's latest attempt to control how artificial intelligence inform Chinese internet users has just been rolled out as a chatbot trained on the thoughts of President Xi Jinping. The country's newest large language model has been learning from its leader's political philosophy, known as Xi Jinping Thought on Socialism with Chinese Characteristics for a New Era. That's the title. As well as other official literature provided by the Cyberspace Administration of China, so Chinese big internet regulator. The model is still under examination and closed in the hand of the CAC. However, considering that more than a dozen books have already been published in Xi's name and his bestsellers typically take center stage at all book fairs in the country, plus the fact that popular new apps from companies such as Tencent or NetEase reserve slots at the top of user feeds for articles from official media, most of the time featuring Xi, and the fact that officials have also required school children as young as 10 to study his political philosophy, also creating Study Xi Strong Nation app to teach and test the country's roughly 100 million party members on their knowledge. It's probably just a matter of time before ChatGPT is unleashed and ready to educate the Chinese citizens. But worry not, we can still save the world. And if you're asking who will save the world, it will, of course, be Sam Altman, who is, as always, here to help us. How, you may wonder? Well, I'm so glad you asked, because Sam Altman and his husband just signed the Giving Pledge. In case you're like, the what? I am so glad I can enlighten y'all. So now the Giving Pledge is a wonderful promise of the rich people, aka billionaires, so like really filthy rich people, that they will donate 40% of their riches to philanthropic purposes. Among the 240-something pledgers are also Warren Buffett and one of the foundation's founders, Bill Gates. Plot twist, the pledge is, of course, just a moral obligation. So with all my existing trust issues, you know, once I read this, I was like, I see, that sounds convincing. So I went digging a little and I found this wonderful article, has nothing to do with AI, but everything to do with the types of people running this AI show we are all part of. So I'm going to enlighten all of you as well. So according to the author, and after a lot of research done by him and not just one, title read paired with a lot of skepticism, which was cause of doubt on my side, the whole enterprise feels like a bit of a scam. And it's most likely not a scam in a legal sense of the word, though at least one former pledger was recently convicted of financial fraud, and a current member took a federal plea deal to escape prosecution. But a scam in a sense of a self-selected group of excessively wealthy people, some of whom have made their fortunes in problematic ways, and likely most of whom have used extreme strategies to avoid taxation, using philanthropy to basically, I don't know, philanthropy wash their reputations. Just to throw some numbers at you, to date, 241 extraordinarily rich individuals and couples from 29 countries have signed up for the pledge, or 243 if you include the rejects. And the rejects include Sam Bankman-Fried, aka the crypto bro, whose net worth plummeted, of course, after or together with the plummeting of the crypto industry from a peak 26.5 billion to about 4 million, and T. Danny Sanford, an early pledger who made his fortune peddling high-interest credit cards to hard-up borrowers. So yeah, they are no longer or were never included in the pledge. And when it comes to Danny Sanford, he has actually given a lot of money generously to kids' programs, probably because, as ProPublica then later reported, investigators had found nude photos of children in one of his email accounts. So yeah, he was just very, philanthropic about the children. Anyhow, back to the numbers and to tie it back to our tech bros. In the latest report on billionaire philanthropy from the nonprofit Institute for Policy Studies, they calculated that of the 73 surviving American pledgers who were billionaires when the pledge was created in 2010, more than so 73 have more than doubled their collective wealth since then. And 30 individuals have seen their net worths at least triple. And behold the greatest hits. 18 pledgers saw their wealth triple, 9 saw it quadruple, 5 saw their wealth at least quintuple. And now the two biggest winners are, well, 3, because one of them is a couple. So the first one being Mark Zuckerberg and Priscilla Shan, with their fortune 21.1 times greater than when they signed the pledge. And the winner is, of course, our good old friend Elon. So Elon, after signing the pledge in 2012, since then his wealth increased by more than 9,000%. Yes, you heard that right. So there, that would be all for my rant, folks. Thank you for your attention. And now we can finally go over to some serious stuff.
I didn't know about most of the news that you just ranted about beforehand, especially not about the Shebot at GBT and the pledge, the giving pledge.
Yeah,
how
life in this.
Not to despair in this world.
I seriously, yeah. I question that often lately, too often.
Okay, at least there is something going on. For instance, machine unlearning. I mean, if we can't save the world, we might be able to delete data from large language models. Thea, do you want to say something about this one, or do you want to skip?
Is that enough to save the world? Well, I won't take too much of your time talking about it. Machine unlearning, huge topic, important topic, at least for data protection. And, you know, the whole right to be forgotten that is kind of still supposed to exist, even though we have these models which tend to never forget things. And a great overview of the existing technologies, the differences between them, written in a fairly simple language, was recently provided by Ken Liu from the Stanford AI Lab. So an overview from May 2024. I was not as well researched in the topic, but now I have a generally solid understanding of the different approaches, why some are better, why some are worse, what are the differences. So definitely a strong recommendation for anyone that wants to see if machine unlearning is a possibility and to what extent it is a possibility for which types of data and so on and so forth.
And most importantly, if there is something to unlearn, it means that something has been learned in the first place, right? Which would lead to the question of what is in those models. Do you have an idea what is?
Well, there have been a lot of papers published on this, right? So we basically all already know this. However, I'm always a sucker for good research. And this particular paper was recommended by at least 2 people who whose opinion I value greatly. So I decided that it must be important and that it's valuable of my attention, and I'm so glad that I did, because I wasn't wrong or they weren't lying. So great paper, a lot of visuals showing basically what remains in the models, with the crucial point being the only reason why we are compressing anything is because we don't have models big enough, we don't have enough resources to actually save everything. If we could, we would. So that is basically kind of a summary or the key takeaway that I took out of this paper. It's a lengthy one, written by people from Anthropic. I always wonder, or Peter and I always wonder, why these people write these things when still developing those models. Do they not realize what they are writing? But still, they made basically our case for us. So to look at all the features, as they call it. So it isn't just about text, it isn't just about pictures, it's about features, so certain types of data, certain sequences of data that remain saved regardless of their shape or form prior to being inserted into the model can be extracted later. This includes also safety features. So great paper and a shout out to Anthropic.
Yeah, definitely. Anthropic did a great job. I'm really looking forward to the lawsuit. It was Universal Music was Anthropic, I think, where they recited the Roar example, the lyrics of Roar being there in the model, and I think applying their methodology, it would be able to prove that they actually stored the training data, which was never disputed before. Large language models became a business model. Cool, there is other stuff going on. Speaking of business models, a year ago, no, not even a year ago, like 6 months ago, there was an article in Wired, and it says artists allege Meta's AI data deletion request process is a fake PR stunt. And now we in Europe are confronted with the same stuff. For instance, I received an email from Meta that they plan to use my ancient Facebook data to train their models. Of course, they didn't say it like out loud. They didn't say it in clear and understandable terms, but I figured from their email that arrived this morning at around 4:23 in the morning. So back in 2023, Meta said they responded to the mounting frustration, according to the Wired article, that the data deletion request form is not an opt-out tool, emphasizing that it has no intention of deleting information within its own platforms. And the Meta representative said, I think there is some confusion about what that form is and the controls we offer. Meta spokesperson Thomas Richards told Wired via email, we do not currently offer a feature for people to opt out of their information from our products and services being used to train our models. Thank you. I think we should keep that in mind when talking about opt-out, opt-in, or models in general. This paper is wonderful to understand what is going on with large language models, transformer-based large language models. So it's update time, because they're like every 2 months or so there is another comprehensive paper, or now also books about LLMs, how they work. And this one I like because it's like a more advanced paper. It's not for non-technical people, but it answers a couple of very interesting questions. So it's a paper from the Universitat de Catalunya, Uni Groningen, and Fundamental AI Research at Meta, which is abbreviated FAIR, and which is possibly the only FAIR thing at Meta, or that Meta does. And it's focusing on the decoder-only architecture. The paper introduces the transformer layer components, the attention block, the feed-forward network block. And if you want to know how to get from Italy to France via activation patching, have a look at figure 6. It was very funny. Figure 6 is page 10. And here it shows you how activation patching works. And I promise you also the other 54 pages of this paper are no less informative. Are you already bored by LLMs? If so, don't be. I mean, the original paper from Google was actually called Attention is All You Need. And this is a classic problem, that no one is actually paying attention to the technology, and Google knew it. What we learned from a year of building with LLMs, part 1, O'Reilly. It's a great blog post. It's a very lengthy blog post. Practical lessons from working with LLMs, and there the authors are asking the questions, are you ready to delve in, making an obvious joke about the frequent use of delve by ChatGPT. Let's go. So I personally like the part about how to deal with LLM outputs, because LLMs may confidently return values even when those values don't actually exist. This is a very sophisticated description of the hallucination issue. And one of the researchers at Google, I think it's DeepMind, says, from the perspective of LLMs manifold, a factual statement and an hallucination look exactly the same. It's all just training data interpolations, and we should keep that in mind. So the O'Reilly article is good, very practical, from prompting to retrieval augmented generation, smart authors, very good read for advanced users, maybe a must read for anyone trying to use LLMs for serious. If not, then COPE says again, FAIR at Meta. It's kind of funny with FAIR here. They present the struggle with powerful LLMs, the struggle to attend to concepts like sentences or chapters of a book or a paper, which anyone knows who has worked with LLMs in the past, and their inability to actually summarize relevant parts of the text, because, and that's mainly because of their infrastructure or their structure, they index by token. So and that's a fundamental flaw in the architecture, says the FAIR researchers, and they call contextual position encoding to the rescue. That's why it's called COPE. Standard position encoding methods such as relative position encoding are based on token positions. In contrast, the contextual position encoding computes gate values conditioned on the context first. So context first, then tokens later, and then uses that context to assign positions to tokens using a cumulative sum. This allows positions to be contextualized, which is important for, let's say, like a mathematical understanding of the philosophical meaning of a text, for instance. So and it that actually works quite well, or at least better than before. COPE operates on each attention head, so can attend to different position types on each. It's definitely an improvement, but I think, and the authors say that too, it needs compute more GPUs, making the shovel-selling NVIDIA CEO even happier. Whether it's worth the effort remains to be seen. Another paper, also a very interesting one, and it's called, as an AI language model, yes, I would recommend calling the police norm inconsistency in LLM decision making. I mean, we are all highly skeptical about LLM's abilities to make decisions, but they can generate outputs. So those outputs are usually words, and those words might be call the police. And LLM's problems aren't just tokenized encoding, but general inconsistency, as proven by this fun paper, because they showed videos from Ring cameras to LLMs and waited for the results. I'm quoting the authors. Our analysis reveals significant norm inconsistencies. A discordance between the recommendation to call the police and the actual presence of criminal activity, which is fun, like the models don't work at all. And two, biases influenced by the racial demographics of the neighborhoods. These results highlight the arbitrariness of model decisions in the surveillance context and the limitations of current bias detection and mitigation strategy in normative decision making. That's fun. So no color me surprise, predictive policing, if it works at all, should at least not rely on LLMs. Next up, another fun paper. What's your data worth to GPT? It all comes to the details of how those LLMs work. Carnegie Mellon, Toronto Uni, Georgia Tech, and others, they say like LLM is nothing without its training data, but how much does each data contribute to LLM outputs? In their paper, the researchers developed algorithms, actual algorithms, theory, and a software for LLM scale data valuation and attribution influence functions that estimate how the model output would change if you add or remove a specific example from the training data set. This is a super important topic, and I love the paper. In their word, training data has become one of the most sensitive topics in the Gen AI era, exemplified by recent lawsuits involving major tech companies. There are lots of data-related socio-technical problems to be discussed, and we hope our work is a small contribution to it. So you can basically prove where your data went and how it influences outputs. That's a major step forward, in my opinion. Next up, again, copyright. The authors of DCOP, Detecting Copyright Content in Language Models Training Data, they don't fool around. How can we detect if copyrighted content was used in the training process of a language model, considering that the training data is typically undisclosed? Looking at you, AI Act, with the sufficiently detailed overviews, we may not need it. The authors of this paper, they are researchers from the Instituto Superior Técnico Lisboa, the University of California in Santa Barbara, and Carnegie Mellon. Detecting copyrighted content in the training data of LLMs is critical to democratizing AI products. Interesting perspective. For instance, this could push model owners to conform to copyright legal requirements. They already acknowledge that there is no conformity with those requirements, and provide accountability in compensating content authors. Things in tech research are moving into the right direction, I would say. However, the task of detecting such content is fraught with challenges. So they propose DCOP. The method is to determine whether a piece of copyrighted content was included in the training. So their approach is to probe an LLM, any LLM, with multiple choice questions whose options include both verbatim text and their paraphrases. So very cool research, very influential, given that the Anderson versus Stability lawsuit ended up with the judge saying that the LLMs transform copyrighted content into numbers and allowed the lawsuit to proceed. A major win for creatives. It's now in the state where they negotiate. So this was the decision. Claims were plausibly alleged facts such as compressed copies or effective compressed copies, albeit stored in mathematical information of their work, are contained in the versions of Stable Diffusion identified. So I'm not saying the copyright question has been decided, but it is looming. That decision is looming over everyone else. So next up, responsible AI by design, a pattern collection for designing responsible artificial intelligence systems. It's a great paper. There are a couple of papers out there on this topic. So if you're interested in responsible AI, I suggest reading this nice paper. It was at IEEE. It's in the IEEE library, so it might not be free, but it will maybe be free and freely available in a couple of weeks. Have a look at this. The design patterns that they propose, they are collected based on the results of a systematic literature review, which I like, and can be embedded into the system design of any AI system as product features to contribute to responsible AI by design. We know that from Privacy by Design and Privacy Patterns. There's even a website dedicated to privacy patterns called privacypatterns.org. So now we will have responsible AI patterns. Time to set up a new website. If it's not already there, I have no idea. Then next up, there is something else, and also very recent. Infocom Media Development Authority of Singapore published very recently, yesterday, their updated Model AI Governance Framework for Generative AI. And that one is, according to the authority, they try to set for a systematic and balanced approach to address generative AI concerns while continuing to facilitate innovation. Not sure about that. Like basically everyone says that. Funnily, the paper dives into very specific things such as RLAIF, reinforcement learning from AI feedback, and saying it too comes with its own drawbacks. So it's a very detailed, very interesting paper. It is also sophisticated as a policy document. So it's not about AGI nonsense and science fiction or talking about the transformative power of LLMs. It rather references real science, recognized technical methods, and industry practices. And their approach to AI accountability is convincing, saying all eyes are on the developers, or as we say in Europe, product manufacturers, because of the impressive amount of manual labor that goes into AI systems. So manufacturing. If we look at this funny use case of fine-tuning LLMs to on new knowledge, does it encourage hallucinations? Google Research and Technion, the Israel Institute of Technology, they published recently a nice paper and basically saying, yes, it does encourage hallucinations. So either I have a model initially pre-trained and then maybe in the process a bit fine-tuned on specific domain-specific knowledge, but then any other fine-tuning step will lead to hallucinations because the models have problems with understanding new information that they are supposed to not even have in the first place, because according to some of the big tech companies, they do not store anything. It's just weights and kind of knowledge and never reproducible. Okay. And then just to end on a more positive note with the paper review, again, like 300 papers, and I had to, or we had to pick those who we thought like are most relevant. There's something very nice being published, and it's called SignLLM, Sign Languages Production, Large Language Models, and it is a use case very close to the one, very close to the one Google published in 2017 with Attention All You Need. It's a translation tool. So LLMs are great at translating, and they are great at translating even sign language. So this paper and code, SignLLM on GitHub.io, it has a lot of great insights, presentation under ideal future conditions, etc., etc. I really love it, how it works. Transformers have value, inclusive value. We can translate, we can collaborate, we can work more fluently and streamline work, like the way we work. And all of that is based on human intelligence and not on machine intelligence. And I really like, again, I really like that paper. It's very helpful and a great use case. Cool. That's it for the news.
For the deep dives.
Deep dive. And back to the original topic of the IAPP Global Governance, AI Global Governance Conference. What a title.
What a title. And I think that that's why we also kind of took our liberty with the papers and kind of extended the rant as well, because I have a lot less to say about the IAPP, I have to say. So, I mean, not that unexpected. A lot of big tech, big law, and big consulting having their sessions. There is a whole lot of generative AI and risk management, risk detection, risk whatever you want to do it. Even things such as a panel on the road to accountable AI, then as a key takeaway has risk management and risk assessment. So, you know, a whole lot of risk, because probably one of the hottest topics, the AI Act is all about risk, and we kind of can't figure out what it is. Great. I'm not sure, do we need that many sessions on that particular topic, or if we can cover other things as well. But hey, that's maybe why they have the EU AI Act comprehensive track. Maybe a side note on that track, it also happens to always be in the gold hole, which is one of the largest rooms, which is not that great if you want to have an interactive session and actually teach people something. If you want to lecture them, then yes, a giant room where nobody asks questions is great for that. However, when it comes to interactions and discussions, not that great.
That's true. I mean, I know the venue from the usual IPP conferences in Brussels. I like the venue when it's not like packed with 2,000 people. So I guess it will be, you will have a chance to have some meaningful conversations with people there. If you want to meet Thea, she will be at the either first time delegate breakfast. I think everyone is first time delegate there at this conference. But we'll see, and possibly even after that, networking breaks, etc., etc. Also, like off this location somewhere else, and yeah. I really think there are some great sessions. One of the sessions that I personally would love to attend, but I most likely will not be able to attend, is the one in Conversation, Approaches to AI Safety from EDPS and the White House with Julie Brill. I remember her from a role at the FTC. Then Leonardo Serrera Navas, we saw him last week. Performing quite well at CPTP, and then Elizabeth Kelly from the AI Safety Institute in the US. So I'd say this one from on Tuesday is a very interesting. It's a very interesting session. Yeah.
Exactly, and then also maybe a couple of recommendations from my side. One thing that I'm slightly disappointed about, again, maybe. So one great topic. One size fits all, DPO, AI officer, DSA compliance officer, and other tasks. Super important question. Who is supposed to wear the hat? Can one person wear all the hats? How do we order this? However, when I discuss these questions, I mostly talk to smaller and medium enterprises that are kind of trying to figure out, can they give the DPO their AI governance hat or not? Do they need to worry about the DSA or not? Here, unfortunately, on the panel, I don't know about their past experience. Maybe they have worked in all sorts of areas, but we have rather big companies and their solutions might not apply to everyone. However, looking forward to the discussion, and hopefully there will be some fruitful thoughts left in my head afterwards for trying to figure out the problem in other cases as well, and not just if you are GE, so General Electric Healthcare, and can afford basically a whole theme for every single one of those functions, and you don't really question if you're going to hire another person or not. Anyhow, other sessions that I intend to visit are also Brussels Effect 2.0, a very international panel, very diverse panel. So definitely looking forward on their perspectives on the EU AI Act, and not just the European perspectives on if we can achieve the Brussels effect.
Gabriela is on the panel, which is always
always a good sign. Exactly. Then definitely one important topic that has kind of been going under the radar: AI market monopoly, the elephant in the room. I definitely tend to agree. It's the elephant that is definitely in the room, and that I'm not sure if we are not seeing him or just ignoring him. But there is kind of a market monopoly problem that we have with most of these big providers. We are still mostly talking about copyright issues, data protection issues, but maybe we should also consider the market monopoly issues. So definitely looking forward to hearing more on that.
Really cool. Yeah, there was also the red teaming thing, like in the middle of the day, which sounds promising, but either we will see. Either it's like completely packed with people. But
when it comes to me, red teaming always sounds super exciting and super useful, and I have never had a single workshop where I left and I was like, yes, this was exactly what I expected. I somehow always expect it to be much more useful than it is.
At CPTP, there was a workshop by Meta AI, led by Meta AI on red teaming. I liked this one, but it was also, of course, very heterogeneous. And I said, like, red teaming is easy. It's like playing around with the toy, and the first one to break the toy wins. So that's basically the only rule you have in red teaming. And I still think that this is quite an approach to go with. Apart from all the frameworks, there are frameworks. Meta published a framework on red teaming very recently. It's kind of helpful, but also you have to think outside the box, outside of the standards to do effective red teaming. So we will see how that one develops. Can we tame misinformation or disinformation in 2024? I find that one also kind of interesting, but also it is rather in the evening and right before the networking reception. So we'll see about that.
Yeah. Another couple of interesting ones. AI incidents, how AI systems can cause harm and how to respond when they do. Sounds very practical, so I hope that it will in fact be very practical and pragmatic, because AI incidents are definitely still kind of this term that's being used. Is it the same as data protection incident? Is every data protection incident an AI incident and vice versa? So hopefully I learn a bit better or understand a bit better what people mean by AI incident after this panel. One AI Act comprehensive session that I'm looking forward to is the Standards and Conformity Assessment Schemes one by Ansgar Kuhne. That is a person that has actually extensively worked on developing standards, as well as implementing them as part of his work in the EY. So hopefully a lot of good takeaways there. At least that's my personal hope.
Definitely. Also, my personal suggestion, Ansgar is really smart and very knowledgeable, and also a very nice person. So I hope he can enlighten us there.
Yeah, that's one spot where I definitely need enlightenment. Going on, AI Act Comprehensive 5, AI Assurance. So how will the whole thing work with the certifications? Why do we need certifications? What were kind of the ideas behind it? Also looking forward to that one. God knows that a lot of people are criticizing the product safety regulation approach to regulating AI systems. So maybe after this session, we are all smarter as to why this approach was in fact necessary, if it is in fact necessary.
If you like, my suggestion is follow Tatiana Evers on LinkedIn. She posted something very smart after CPDP. It led to a very fruitful, over 100 comments discussion on her profile. So it was about like the actual value of certifications and the misunderstandings surrounding the AI. So I expect from her nothing less than like clarification, and it would be, I think it is going to be very helpful to listen to her closely. She's very smart.
Exactly. And then two other ones, which I'm not sure if I'm going to be attending because they are very late on Wednesday and I'm already leaving on Wednesday, but they both sound very interesting. So first one, civil society informing AI governance and standards. We actually have a lot of civil society and, if I might say, high civil society representatives on the panel. So hopefully they can share some of their perspectives, how they are involved in their work of standards, if they are happy with their work on standards. So really looking for, I would be looking forward to hearing more on that if I get the chance. And then in the same time, unfortunately, covering the last mile of accountability and oversight AI auditing. So for all those that are still not aware of it, there has been an International Association of Algorithmic Auditors founded recently. They also do courses to become this algorithmic auditor. So I have a lot of question marks there, starting from what does an algorithmic auditor do, and would be very curious to learn more about it. We'll see if I manage to do that.
I'm super skeptical about algorithmic auditing in general. Not that it doesn't exist, but as a term, we should be very careful because there are that many algorithms and that many technologies, and there are no experts on everything out there. And even if there were a kind of certification, it would be completely meaningless, because if you're out of like if you had to certify something out of your domain knowledge, it would be a massacre. So we will see about that. Other than that, at least in Germany, you are not allowed to say it is a certification unless it is like a publicly certified a body. And that's super difficult. So we'll see about that. And yeah, but it's an interesting program. It is. I personally think they're lacking some workshops, but in the end, it is a start for one centralized event in Europe, in Brussels, and to bring the power from the privacy professional community into the AI governance professional community. Could have been a bit more open, could have been more open to younger researchers, as CPTB was, like with smarter ideas and not just experts in everything, lawyers. But in the end, TIA is going to be there. There are going to be a lot of side events, and yeah, basically that's it from me for today.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, having these types of discussions is super important. Getting 2,000 people in Brussels during the same 3 days is already an achievement, regardless of the panels and the topics. I look forward to, you know, all the coffee break conversations that I might be having there. So, as I said, please contact me if you are going as well. I will be there from Monday till Wednesday. And that's it. For once, we managed to wrap it up in time. That is, I think, a first, or maybe a second.
I'm really happy that we did it. It's probably because we did not have a guest and we did not have technical difficulties. Almost no. Yeah, it was fine.
And maybe on that note, next episode is still kind of unclear, but might be going on very soon. So be prepared, subscribe to the newsletter, probably the next episode already in 2 weeks with a very, very, very special guest that I'm really looking forward to talking to. So please subscribe and, you know, tune in to the next episode whenever it is.
Live from Italy, I think. Woo! Okay, cool. Thank you all, and I'm gonna end the stream now. Thank you. Have a great time.
Thank you. Bye.